Warning, this podcast contains stories.
Spoilers.
Oh, yeah, wrong word, sorry. What's up, everyone, and welcome to the ASOTV podcast for Once Upon a Time, Season 4, Episodes 22 and 23, Operation Mongoose, Part 1 and 2. I'm your host, Dom. With me, my co-host, Nikki, aka Omikins. Rachel. and Clio. So, wow, how are you ladies tonight?
Good.
Pleasant?
Pleasant.
Excellent. So, was this finale everything that you wished upon a star for?
Yes.
Well, no and yes.
It tied up some ends, but, at the same time, they left them some wide open. You're going, damn it!
Because the thing
They have to.
Of course they have to. But
really worried about was that everyone would be running around trying to stop the author, and what we saw in the flash sideways would have never happened, but it did happen, but it didn't happen. But somehow it worked, and I'm fine with it.
Right, like we theorized. It was basically me that threw the idea out, but we theorized last week that this whole story was going to be very similar to the final season of Lost, which had the Flash Sideways universe of things that were happening in its own like little contained world that weren't actually happening, and that's basically exactly what happened here. So.
It wouldn't have been real until
I think they did it much better here on Once Upon a Time than they did on Lost, because
it's less confusing.
Number one, it was shorter. It was 1.5 episodes versus 22. And they also learned from their mistakes on Lost. Nice. So I actually enjoyed it, but I felt it was a little excessive. I could have done with maybe about half hour less of it. But that's just me. I was hoping that we would have one episode dedicated to the Flash Sideways and one episode dealing with the aftermath / cleanup. And we got an episode and a half of the Sideways world. And I think it was just a little too much for me.
I always knew the aftermath was going to be next season.
Well, yeah. No, I know, but there's still, like, little loose ends that they could have tied up.
Chrissy, are you muted?
No.
Oh, okay. You're just making a lot of head gestures. I'm like,
I am just making a lot of head gestures. I didn't want to actually interrupt anybody with my words.
Yeah, so, I mean, I guess the episode, it started, as Lee said in chat here, Lee said, begin with the author, Isaac, being born a Brooklyn boy. We get to see a lot of his backstory and kind of like, where he came from and why he was doing what he was doing. So, I mean, getting some background on the author was kind of cool.
1966.
Yeah. I mean, getting some background on the author was actually kind of cool. I was not expecting that.
Yeah, that was kind of nice.
Okay, when you saw the star, right, or the sign where it says star, did you start singing when you wished upon a star? Because I did. I was like, ah!
No, but I did think that. I was like, oh. I didn't start singing in my head.
I stood there like, just jamming.
just jamming to the music in your head.
Yeah. So, I mean, I like the story of the author, but I still didn't get a feeling of so much why he was corrupt. I mean, we got a lot of that story with Cruella, but I guess I would have liked to see him jump worlds a little bit more.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I think what we got was maybe not enough, but it showed us that he was just a nobody who got shit on, and that's why with this power he went a little nuts, you know?
Kind of like the Dark One.
Yeah.
Kind of like what Rumple did when he became the Dark One. He went a little nuts with the power.
Yeah, a little.
Just a tiny,
Well,
tiny bit.
Just
He
a
was just super
scotch.
selfish. That's all.
Yeah.
He wanted
Well, you know, like
his
what.
life better, not everybody else's.
Well, just like what Snow told him at the end. You know,
hmm
basically, you're a villain. You became a villain.
Yeah.
Your
So,
happiness above all others.
so after Isaac completes the book, it goes off and becomes like a bestseller, and we get to see a little glimpse into that world, which was actually kind of cool. I like seeing how it affected the real world outside of Storybrooke.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that was cool.
He kind of got what he's always wanted, which was to be on the back of a book. You know, just like his boss said that he would, never maintain because he's not writing the stories that people want to hear.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
it's kind of cool. So then when Henry, it was kind of cool. Henry unlocked the story and was able to enter the story.
Which dragged the author in with him. Which
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting.
Well,
But
I don't think it dragged the author in with him. I think the author followed him in. I think he went in willingly.
No, I don't know.
Right.
He might
What
have,
do
but
you
he
got there?
said, but he just said, you know.
What do you think
when
it is?
You got us both
What
stuck
do you
in
think
there.
it is?
Wh-
It's
where,
one of the pens.
where did you get that?
Had it for years. Guess what?
What do you think? You're the author now?
I am.
No,
What do you
Henry's
think?
the author.
No,
Yeah.
I made him the author.
Oh.
It was all Nikki's doing. She did it all up by herself.
Mm-hmm.
I had to.
But yeah, no, the
couldn't
author
find-
definitely went in after him willingly because he didn't want Henry to fuck anything up.
No, he didn't. He was scared.
Yeah. Yeah, he's very, and they go into the final chapter of the book. So now I'm like more curious of what the hell was going on through the rest of the book. You know?
Yeah, 'cause there's 75 or 80% of the book that we didn't get to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but we got to see what all these characters would be like flipped. Well, most of the characters, like Belle didn't really change, but we got to see Rumple, as the knight in shining armor.
That was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen.
I 100% agree. I do not like Robert Carlyle playing a hero. I don't
When-
The way
like
he
it.
was,
It
the way
did-
he was talking, and then the whole gold and white gear. I'm just like,
It's black and blue.
serious?
When
This is,
Belle
like,
called
so-
him, when Belle called him the light one, I went stupid. It sounds so stupid. The light.
It was so ridiculously
Oh, does he
overacting.
not pay that much?
Robert Carlyle is pretty thin, so
Yeah, but it's like,
Oh, yeah,
oh god, you're
55 pounds, my
overacting.
goodness.
I mean, he's got to be pretty heavy with all that armor on. But you take
True.
the armor off, he might be the light one. So absolutely.
No, but that
ridiculous.
was when he came riding in on the horse. That was like the most ridiculous thing. I was just like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. Then we got to see Regina, which I thought was interesting because the villains are supposed to get happy endings, and Regina's kind of been in this gray area for a little while now. Like she's a villain, she's a hero. Every once in a while she get like a little bit of dark side in her, and she goes nuts again. But so she's pretty much a gray line right here. But seeing her in a role reversal with Snow White, I think was brilliant. I
Oh
loved
my
it.
god.
I loved Evil Snow.
I was squeeing so much.
Evil Snow was so wicked.
She
I
was
love
more
her
wicked
hair.
than Regina.
Snow in Regina's clothes and Regina in Snow's clothes. Somehow it just worked so well. I was like,
So great.
I loved Snow's hair. I was just like, that's amazing what they did to it. Just made her
That hair reminded me of Fish's hair from Gotham.
Yes. She just comes on screen and I'm like, oh girl, that coif, I can't.
Yeah. No,
and
she was.
charming in his guy liner. It was beautiful.
Love it.
I think they are better in the role reversals than they are in their own. And
Well, I know because you don't like them normally. I like
right. I'm actually.
It
I
gives
think
them
Snow
a
is the
chance
one that
to-
I hate the absolute most. I hate the character Snow White. I just don't like her. But I never, said anything about Jennifer Goodwin. Like, I think she is a great actress. I just don't like her in the role of Snow White. But seeing her play the evil queen, you can tell she's a phenomenal actress. She really is.
I think they had fun playing the opposite of what they're supposed to.
Sure they did.
I'm sure they're like, yes!
Oh my god, yes.
That, because they do remember what happened.
Right.
I'm hoping that Snow becomes a little bit more forward, assertive, and aggressive because she realizes that, you can kind of teeter. I mean, it no longer can, it's no longer a good and evil thing anymore with the characters that are already in the story because they can't be written any which way anymore because that's done. The author's done. Broken pen and everything.
Well, we don't know for sure because then he just said, I think we finally found the right one.
Well,
yeah, because that's Henry giving up his responsibility, technically giving up the responsibility, whatever. He takes the pen, he snaps it. We don't know if he's still the author, though. We don't, because the pen is what chooses it. The pen chooses the author. And if the pen's broken, we don't really know what the status on that is. The Sorcerer's Apprentice seems to be like, oh, we found the right one. Doesn't necessarily mean Henry is still the author. It just means Henry has taken the responsibility of not allowing things to get altered in the way that they were previously.
We'll know next season.
Yeah, I definitely think that there'll be a point where he records what's happening. Because, especially since he's in the middle of all of it and he has a role. I don't see why he couldn't record what's happening.
Yeah.
Without changing anything. Without
now
he has
future. Now he has a part in it. Now he has a part. Before he didn't really have a part because he wasn't bored in the Channel Forest. Yeah, and then when everyone left, he was by himself. So he didn't really have a part in it, but now he does.
So here's the other thing that really completely just has me baffled, right? So the author is able to change things. Right, so we had this whole whatever Heroes and Villains book, right? We see all this. He made these changes to all the characters. He couldn't go back and rewrite their pasts. It had to be stuff that's in the present day, right? And he could rewrite their past so they remembered details or whatever. But he couldn't bring people back from the dead, so he couldn't alter. He couldn't completely alter the past. Is the point? But so Henry's able to undo all this. But we're told through this entire season that the author was changing stuff from the main story. How does he get away with changing stuff in that story and not being able to undo that?
He was changing his story as it went.
As it was happening. It's not
as it was happening, and then it became the past, so you couldn't alter it anymore.
But technically, isn't that what he did with the Heroes and Villains book?
But it didn't become the present.
It didn't become present. It didn't become fact.
It's still alternate.
The book hadn't ended.
Yeah,
they were still in the book. Like, the wedding bells was the last thing that happened in the book, and they weren't finished ringing when Henry wrote what he wrote. So it was before the close of the book, so he could undo it before the spell really took hold.
I guess, but see, I understand what you're saying there. My whole thing is the author wrote the words "the end" and hit the period, and to me, the book is done. So Henry just injected himself in the book in the last chapter somewhere. So the whole time I'm thinking, okay, so it's going to end, and since there's nothing left, they're going to get teleported back out of the book. Why can't Henry go back into the book and try again?
He would have been stuck there. The only way out was to change the story.
So, there seems like there's some plot holes there. Because it's conveniently they could change certain things as they're happening, but certain things that they
This was a whole new book. The other book
I understand
they
that.
couldn't change.
That's my point.
But we don't know when the author became the author. Did he become the author at the beginning of their stories or in the middle of their stories? We don't know. Or maybe he became the author at the end. We don't know where in the first book that Henry had, he became the author.
That's a good point. He could have written the whole book, or he could have come in halfway through.
Yeah, midway, we don't know.
Huh.
So he can't change what he didn't write. If he didn't write it, he can't change it.
Maybe. I feel like Henry could have just scribbled into the book instead of going into the book.
Yeah, it's more interesting this way.
Yeah, no, it is. But it just, some things don't make sense. Lee's asking in chat, you know, how did Killian die in the book and survive, but Neil died in the book?
Neil died in real life.
Right.
Neil died in the real world. He died in Storybrooke, in Maine.
Correct.
Yes, Storybrooke is in Maine. It's in the real world. Whether it's, you know, in a pocket where there's magic can be done in Storybrooke, it's still the real world. Neil died there, so he could not be brought back to life.
Right. And the apprentice even says, you know, the stuff that's in this book here happened. There's no way to change this stuff. So, I mean, that's the part that gets me, is I don't understand, like, how he could write this book, but it's stuff, but then you could write another book and it's not stuff.
He was lying to him. He didn't want him to change it, so he told him that it can't be changed.
The apprentice said this to Henry at the end. Why would he lie to Henry?
What, the old book? The old book can't be changed.
Right. That's what I just said.
Because that stuff is real. That stuff is fact.
That's what I just said.
Exactly. So
but what I'm saying is I didn't understand the sentence that you just said. I think I'm...
Yeah, I don't...
I'm saying he wrote this book, right? It wrote it, it happened. It's done. Yes. But now he wrote another book, and I don't understand why that doesn't follow the same rules.
Because it wasn't true. There's a difference.
It wasn't up to present yet.
No, it was these two different books.
He did mention that something about truth when he was explaining it to Henry, and because the author, like, their stories have already happened, they are those characters already. To change them like that, make them different characters, it's a lie.
It's a lie.
Yeah.
And it only became true if Henry didn't save them at the end.
Right. I mean, I guess the point that's really just getting me is how the author was changing stuff in the other book as it was happening, without consequence there. That's really my whole point, is, like, he forced the sorcerer to send Cruella and, you know, whatever through the portal. Like, I don't understand how he could influence that.
There was consequence, and then the apprentice went back to try to rectify it, try to make it right.
Yeah. I can't wrap my brain around that. I'm sure there's a logical explanation, but me personally, I don't understand why he could influence certain events, but can't in another book.
I think because in the first book, he was in
the Enchanted Forest
while the things were happening.
Right.
But with the heroes and villains, he's making
it up.
New Enchanted Forest, or like a different thing. So that had not come to life yet. That was still just in the book.
Yeah.
And before the book finished, like before, I don't know, it wasn't yet real.
Right. Yeah, so then I guess that explains how, like, okay, so we saw, what was it, Doc and Hook both died in the Heroes and Villains book. Yeah. But because it wasn't real, they're not actually dead. They did play on our heartstrings a little bit at the end of that with Hook. They're like, you know, like Emma goes running for Hook. Did you guys think Hook was actually dead?
No.
Because, I mean, based on what was said while they were in the book, I wasn't so sure, because it was Hook that said, oh, this isn't real then, so, you know, in your world, so whatever I do here has no consequence. That was just Hook assuming. So I was like, what if he's wrong?
That's true.
You know, he's stating that these are the rules when he doesn't even know what the hell's going on, because he's a character in the book. You know, so I wasn't so sure. I pretty much knew he wasn't dead, but at the time I was like, when Hook said that, I'm like, how do you know what's going on, Hook? Don't be so sure. But, you know, previously, just before that, we watched Doc die, and I was like, they're not going to kill off one of the 7 dwarves.
No.
So.
I totally teared up when Hook died. Well, actually, I teared up when Emma was talking to Regina about it. Mm-hmm. I was just like, oh, God, please. Oh, stop now.
Oh.
Stop. I'm like, stop. Just stop.
All the feels.
No.
Yeah, no. I was just like, no, stop. So
I just want to mention about chat, because Lee keeps saying that Neil died in the book, but Neil didn't.
No, he didn't.
No. He said Neil got injured in the book, but Neil got injured I don't know, but it happened in the Enchanted Forest, which was a real place. The book wasn't yet a real place. The book was still fake.
So here's the thing. When they're going to the Enchanted Forest, they're not jumping into the book. They're actually taking a realm portal. The book is just a documentation of the events that happened in it. Mm-hmm. They're not going into that book.
The Heroes and Villains book didn't yet become the documentation of real events. It was still just
a book,
a fake story.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Until it manifested. If it had finished, if Henry failed to save them, it would have manifested itself and become reality. But since that didn't happen,
no.
I still don't know if it would have became reality. I don't.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't even know if that would have worked.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's some way that you would still be able to undo it because it's fake to begin with.
Yeah, I don't.
The sorcerer ever comes out from whatever cloud he's on.
Yeah.
So
I don't think anyone knew
sorcerer.
for sure.
You mean Merlin?
Well, one thing we were told, you know, through different interviews and stuff, is we wouldn't be introduced to any new characters this coming season. Major characters, anyway. Which, funny enough, they announced at the end of this episode that Merlin is the sorcerer. This is not Merlin's first time in the show. Like,
no.
So, though we haven't physically seen Merlin yet, he was mentioned in Season 2. When it was the Sword in the Stone episode, and when it was the fake one, when they went to go see Medusa, you know, and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And Charming said, a mage named Merlin crafted this sword or whatever. So Merlin has been mentioned before, and said he's from Camelot. So I do feel like they're going to visit Camelot at some point, you know, and should be during flashbacks and stuff, so we may see King Arthur and, you know, who was the knight in Lancelot. We'll probably see Lancelot again.
Well, I don't think they do flashbacks because the apprentice told Emma, go find him, which he's gonna be in Camelot.
Well, yeah, they're physically gonna go there, but I'm sure we're gonna get flashbacks too. We always do. We always get flashbacks. They do flashbacks of what happened in the Enchanted Forest and then present day. They jump around, so I'm sure we're going to get some kind of flashbacks about Camelot. So, you know, it's not going to be the whole story, but, you know, we'll get part of it. I mean, we even got flashbacks in Frozen when they did the Frozen stuff, so, you know, I'm sure we'll see it. But as far as Merlin goes, that begs another question of whether or not we're going to see Madame Mim.
I hope so.
Or Morgana, or some version of that.
Somebody related to that character. I want to see it.
Yes. I really, really want Madame Mim. I think we went pretty in-depth about this somewhere around, like, the mid-season finale or something. We were talking about this, or just, like, maybe a couple episodes after, whatever, but I don't... Madame Mim is a villain that I've wanted for a while.
Yeah.
So, should be interesting. And then we see Lily, right? Lily's there, and she says, oh, she's sticking around. She's got a little piece of the dragon egg, and they bring up the question that we've been asking, who's the father?
Who's her daddy?
What happens in dragon form stays in dragon form?
Yes. So,
or you kind of can't tell who is fucking you when you're a dragon.
Right.
Well, I mean, Lily and Maleficent look the same. What if Daddy looked the same too? Just different parts.
Yeah.
Well, see, when I heard that, I was like, okay, what I referenced back was when I watched the English version of Being Human, and the werewolf married another werewolf, and they were going to turn, and they had no place to go except in the same place. And they thought they would kill each other, but anyways,
they woke up pregnant.
They woke up. She woke up pregnant, and they're like, "Did we have sex when we were in the form?" They had no memory of it.
Yeah,
they had no memory of having sex when they were
So
in the wolf form. So I'm thinking
in
that
dragon form. Yeah, that's what they said. That's what they said. They don't remember what happens in dragon form. So that leads. Who do you guys think the father is?
Another dragon.
Who else? Who else is a dragon?
There's only one male dragon I know of in the Disney universe. And that's Merlin.
Oh, her daddy's Merlin?
Her daddy's Merlin.
Merlin in The Sorcerer's Apprentice can turn into a dragon.
You're right, he can shapeshift.
Yeah.
Yeah, him and
or the Sword in the Stone, whatever.
Madame Mim had a shape-shifting contest.
Yeah, they had the shape-shifting contest, and so...
Or left with someone we're not even thinking about.
It could be, but I'm saying Merlin is the only male dragon that I've ever known in the world.
I completely forgot about that.
Mm-hmm.
What if it's Smog?
I mean,
It is not Smog.
they can take from other, mythos because they have. It's not something unheard of. So, I mean, that'd be an interesting twist to have Merlin as daddy, but.
I mean, that could also kind of explain some of her magical powers and stuff too.
Well, there's also, Puff the Magic Dragon.
There is Puff.
There's Figment.
The Figment isn't really a dragon, so to speak. He's a figment.
All right.
There's also
Dragon?
Pete's dragon, yeah.
Just
Right.
piece. Well, that's Puff the Magic Dragon.
Oh, that's the same dragon?
Kind of.
Pete and Puff? No.
Pete is the little boy's name.
Yeah, Pete's dragon.
Oh, right.
It's his
But
dragon.
there's a movie called Pete's Dragon, and then there's a movie called Puff the Magic Dragon. That's the same
No,
kid?
no.
I don't think
Puff
so.
the Magic Dragon is not Disney though.
Oh, true.
Oof.
Rough.
Yes.
Well, there was also that cartoon on a Disney Channel where the little boy turns into a dragon. I can't remember the name of it.
I
Daughter used to watch it.
I don't think that little boy was messing
Well,
around.
no,
Maleficent.
well, his whole family was like that, so I don't remember.
Yeah, I'm gonna. You
It's
guys know my
American Dragon,
famous.
that's it.
coincidence.
You
to
guys
have
know my
Merlin
famous
come
stab
in.
in the dark guesses. Like who in their right mind would have called a season and a half ago that Rumpelstiltskin's father was Peter Pan.
True.
This guy right here. So I'm
That
calling right now that Merlin is
Well, I mean,
the
that
father.
makes sense, though. Like, Peter Pan didn't make any sense when you said it.
No, it didn't.
It made no
Maybe-
sense.
Maybe it's Mushu.
It somehow made sense in my head. And, oh my god. Mushu. It could be Mushu, and then that would be a
It's honor
great
on
reason to
you.
get Mulan
It's
back.
honor on
Then you can get Milan. There you go, Christy. It's Mushu, and then you can get Milan.
And I get Mulan. Oh, God.
Or maybe, How He Trained a Dragon is Disney.
Yeah, I was
It's
thinking
not
that too.
Disney.
No, it's not. It's DreamWorks.
Oh yeah, you're right. It is.
Ran by
DreamWorks.
Disney, though.
What?
No,
DreamWorks?
No, DreamWorks isn't owned by
that's
Disney.
Pixar.
That's You're
Pixar.
thinking
Disney
Pixar.
owns Pixar, not DreamWorks.
The guy who made Lilo and Stitch got fired by Disney, went to DreamWorks, and in spite of them, made How to Train Your Dragon.
Right. So,
Well, those are the only dragons I can think of.
yeah.
I think it's way too much of a coincidence for Lily and the whole dragon thing, and then Merlin's coming in, so it's got to be Merlin.
Yeah, that's my guess. So,
That'd be very, very weird.
it sure would.
Well, we've already got weird family ties here, so why
Yeah.
not add some
Yeah.
more?
And then he wouldn't know that it was his daughter. What happens in dragon form
Right.
stays in dragon form.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So,
I want him, like, they've built up the sorcerer, like, oh my god, he's this great thing, and I want them to walk in on, like, this alchemy lab, and he's just crazy hair,
I
no
know, I want
shoes,
him
just
to-
like,
I want him to be like in the cartoon. I want him to
yeah.
be totally.
do you guys have any?
fascinated.
Do you guys have any dream casts for the actor to play Merlin?
I haven't thought of that.
Christopher Lloyd?
Michael Gambon. Christopher Lloyd, oh my god.
That would be amazing. Christopher Lloyd would be amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's that. Wow.
I'm
I haven't
going
thought
through all
about
my
it.
old British actors. Michael Gambon, Ian McKellen.
But
He's already played an old wizard, though, so.
Personally, sticking with their Lost theme, every season they introduce, at least one new Lost actor. I'm going to go with Terry O'Quinn, who plays John Locke. I think he might be able to pull that off.
The crazy? Yeah, he can do that.
He can do that, yeah, so.
Crazy.
I think Terry O'Quinn is my dream cast if we're talking from the Lost cast anyway.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I guessed something.
Outside of that, the only alternative, and I'm sorry, Nikki, this is I'm telling you right now, and I'm being sincere. This is not a dig at you, but I
David
think
Bowie.
Jeff Goldblum
Oh,
would be
Jeff Goldblum.
amazing.
No.
David Bowie!
Oh.
No.
See,
No.
I would accept David Bowie, okay? Jeff
Wow.
No. No, get out of here.
Jeff Goldblum is just crazy enough that it would work. He's not Christopher Lloyd crazy though, but
I
yeah.
have to stop the train. I'm sorry. But Lee said Dracula can transform into other things besides a bat, a wolf.
Mm-hmm.
And that made me think, if Merlin can transform into more things than just a dragon, so can Lily. So I might be right that Lily was the wolf that stopped the car.
Either that or Merlin is the wolf that stopped the car.
I was just looking things up. Totally forgot. The Jabberwocky in Alice in Wonderland is the dragon.
Yeah,
it's pictured as dragon. But that would also tie in Wonderland.
Wasn't the dragon Slade? I'm pretty sure Alice lopped its head off.
Yeah, but he could have been doing the business before.
It would kind of be a weird...
I thought the Jabberwocky was female in Wonderland.
She could be trans. You don't know. You know how it's under her skirt.
What, did somebody go in the park and lift up all the dinosaur skirts?
Exactly.
But I'm just saying. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
No, true.
Evangeline Lilly is cast as Miranda. You saw on a wiki. That is interesting.
Miranda.
Lee Young Josh. Yeah, I don't know who Miranda is.
Is that a version of Madam Mim? Hold on, is that a version of Madam Mim?
If he's like, I don't want to hear anything about things that people are going to be cast, because then it's kind of spoils it for me.
Why? We talk about castings all the time.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just.
I mean, you don't know what their performance is going to be like. You can,
I just actually watched through the whole thing of Lost, and I'm like, as I was watching all 6 seasons, I was sitting there going, I'm looking through the different actors of people I would love to see on Once Upon a Time, because they're known for that. Evangeline Lilly was in, like, my top pick. Terry O'Quinn from, like I said, Locke, he's in there. I think Locke might actually make a good Scar if they were gonna, if they couldn't get Jeremy Irons. But, that, and then Charlie, I would love to see Charlie, and Daniel Faraday, those two characters, I would love for them to join into...
Yeah, Dominic Monaghan?
Yeah, Dominic Monaghan is amazing. Yeah.
Give me my Lord of the Rings actors, thank you. Okay.
You know what I was thinking when I was watching Once Upon a Time, because I had watched The Vampire Diaries beforehand, and we all know about, Ian Somerhalder doing the whole, like, character swap from Lost to The Vampire Diaries. He was a coward, he was a wimp in Lost, and then in The Vampire Diaries, he's crazy, like, just, you can't, he's unpredictable, and he's violent. And then I saw Killian today, like...
Oh, yeah.
And he's also, like, he's sassy in Storybrooke, and then in this alternate universe, he's such a wimp.
Yeah,
so
I mean, he's allergic to rum.
I was thinking, if Ian wasn't in The Vampire Diaries, he would probably be playing Killian. He would be playing Hook.
Well...
If he wasn't already busy.
Probably. I could see him doing that.
I can see complete similarities between the looks of Captain Hook and Damon.
Yeah, no, I 100% I could see that, but the actor that plays Hook, I actually really like him in that role. I think he's perfect for it. I really can't see anybody actually in the role, but I think Damon would give him a good run for his money.
Mm-hmm.
Or Ian, I should say, but yeah.
Ian.
Lee wants Ruby back in season 5. I was really hoping that we were going to see Ruby in the finale here, but once again, they just completely glazed over her. We didn't see her in Sideways World. We didn't see her in Granny's Diner at the end. And, how many times can you celebrate in Granny's Diner? Like, can they just go to, like...
to celebrate.
Can they go to, like, the beach or something?
That's literally the only restaurant they have.
Yeah, but can't they go to, like, the beach and have, like, a beach party?
Beach blanket bingo?
I'm just so sick of Granny's Diner.
So sick of Granny's Diner.
But what about
maybe it'll burn down and somebody else will build a diner.
Yeah. So, based on, like, the different stuff that we saw, the only character I think that we really saw here in Sideways World that we haven't seen in a while was Blackbeard. So,
Yes.
we know Blackbeard is not currently dead. That's the only thing that we know, for sure, that came out of this, like, new little information, because we had, like, some... stuff went on with him and Hook and sold the Jolly Roger. They had a scuffle in the missing year and stuff like that. We don't know what his fate ended up being.
Well,
but we do know he's
Ariel
alive
say
now.
she saved him so that she could find Prince Eric?
She said something, but I don't remember exactly what it was.
The boat was in the ship.
Saved.
I'm pretty sure she saved him because he knew
where Eric was.
Yeah, I mean, there's still so many loose ends, like Ariel and Eric. Like, Ariel came in this season, like, there's nothing there. We still don't know what's up with Will Scarlet.
No, and
there.
And in the story, when Zelina went all diva, she got blood on my dress. Ah! She started turning green, and she went, and she ran.
She was.
So did she know?
I think she knew.
Yeah,
I think she knew.
That's what I'm saying. So she wasn't the only one that, there wasn't, because a lot of people, they didn't know. I mean, Emma knew because he couldn't write her out of the story.
I don't think Zelina knew that she was necessarily in a second story or whatever, but I think she was...
she was aware of what was happening to her.
I think she was aware of the fact that she was a witch or something,
I think she was probably also aware... I think she also turned green before.
Right, exactly.
That was the same reaction she had when she started turning back to green.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think that,
that was
the thing.
Does she know?
But I guess... So this last piece here was like one of the big debates that we've had a lot this season, and that's the status of Rumple's darkness and what were his actions and what weren't his actions, and why his heart was so dark, and all this. And they really made a big deal out of this darkness in this episode, and how it's has to be bound to a person, and that person has to deal with the burden. So we really see that the darkness has a life of its own. We really got to see that in this episode. And when it wasn't tethered to the knife, when it was contained inside the sorcerer's hat, it couldn't be contained, and it broke free. It's more powerful than the sorcerer's hat, and just started causing
that he didn't know if the hat can handle this much.
Yeah, and it just started causing havoc all over the town. It's running everywhere, and they're like, it's everywhere. So, Emma takes the time to grab it, and she's like, I'm gonna hold it. I'm the savior. It's kind of, she feels like it's her responsibility. So she takes it. She's dealing with this darkness now. She disappears. The final scene we get, is Emma Swan on the knife. And, it left us with this big moment to me. Like, a lot of people were saying, oh, it wasn't as big of a moment as, the reveal of Elsa. And I'm like, are you kidding me?
No
like, this
way.
is a much, much bigger moment.
That was as big of a moment as Magic coming back to Storybrooke.
Yeah,
that was like that kind of, oh my god, what now?
Yeah, this is like the season 1 finale all over again.
Who's going to keep the knife?
Probably Hook.
Hook will probably... Well, I mean...
That makes the most sense.
I think it'll be Hook.
I bet you... I mean, I could see Snow vying for it. I'm her mom. I should have it.
But I think Snow also knows.
Yes.
Snow knows that she's been talking a lot about how she's aware of the darkness in her heart and stuff like that, and how different things have changed her, and and I think even like getting a glimpse of what she could potentially have been.
She said that so much to the author. She knows what it likes to have that.
Yeah. So
the heavy feeling of it.
I feel like Hook is probably the most responsible person to have it, which is really funny, because if you look at Hook in season 2, we would not have been saying this.
No.
That's like allowing you to babysit my daughter. It sounds like a good idea because she'd have fun, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know.
You wouldn't let me babysit
you might
your
take
daughter?
her to the bodega and buy her beer.
But yeah, I mean, right now Rumple's not dead. Whether or not, I mean, they said he's going to go back to the man he was, so he's going to remember. But if he's going to go back to the man he was before, will Bill still like him? Because she met him as the evil one, the dark one. Will she still like the person he was before that?
I mean, when she saw his true self, she was looking past the dark one. She knew what she was getting into when he was, but she was seeing him for who he really was. Like, she was seeing Rumple from back in the day before he took on the power.
I mean, she even said when we got together, I knew exactly what I was in store for. I knew the man, she
but,
knew.
I mean, there's knowing without really knowing him, and then there's knowing him.
Well, okay. He's not going to go back to snidely little whiny bitch and hide in a corner. He's gone through so much shit that he's not going to be like that anymore. He's
I hope not. I hope not. Well, I know. I'm just saying.
this is gonna be the real test if Dom is right or not. Because if Rumple now makes the right decisions, makes good decisions, then Dom is right. And it was the dagger, it was the Dark One who was forcing him down these bad paths. But if he still makes bad decisions, then it's not, you can't keep blaming it on the Dark One.
I 100% agree with you. That was my entire argument this whole time.
I know, and I didn't believe you.
Okay.
And I still don't believe you. We're going to have to see.
We will.
The apprentice did purify his heart.
Next season is not the battle of Merlin and the darkness. Next season is the battle of Dom versus Clio.
Hey,
Yeah.
these two agreed with me.
Yeah.
It's not just me.
Me and you are the most vocal about this particular argument. So, they're more the peanut gallery.
And the only reason that I was so vocal and loud about it was because you were saying he was justified, which means you think he was doing the right thing, which is what justified means.
Correct. I think he was thinking he was doing the right thing with the darkness controlling him.
But being justified and
It's justified in
thinking you are
his-
justified are two different things. That's the only point I was making. That is why I was so vocal about it.
Yeah. I just think the darkness was clouding everything, and skewing his whether or not this is actually the right thing to do or not. So I believe he was doing the right thing the whole time, but the darkness is controlling him, and it's clearly not the right thing to do. So
I mean, he wasn't even in the story when the author came to him and was like telling him to go kill Henry and Regina to keep it. He had a decision to make, and he chose made the wrong decision.
Yep. So yeah, we're gonna get to
Even
see
when he
the
had,
real
like,
Rumple, and we're gonna get to see how much of being the Dark One, and all this stuff, and the life that he's lived for the last 700 years or whatever it was, how this is going to reflect who he's become.
Because he hasn't been that person before for so long.
Right. So
Will he even remember?
Is he gonna go back to being a coward?
No.
We don't. I mean.
You don't know.
There's gonna have to be a little bit of both in there, and they're gonna have to figure out how they can live together.
And all I can say is I am so happy that this is not Robert Carlyle's last season. Because I just thinking about it, I was devastated because he's the entire reason I even started watching the show in the first place. Because when I was watching Stargate Universe, and when that ended, the show was announced. And I was like, okay, so this is where Robert Carlyle is going to. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to follow him. And, I had no intention of watching the show. It was
Really?
Robert Carlyle that did it.
Every
And
time
then-
I
The fact
see
that it was
him,
Lost Riders?
Well, that stuff started coming out after the fact. It's like, they started announcing casting, and then they're like, when they started advertising it, it's like, oh, by the writers of Lost. And I'm like, okay, well, you already had me interested, and now I'm more interested than ever before. And then
every time I see him, I think of the Full Monty movie. So that's the first movie I saw him in.
Yeah.
I can't unsee that. Sorry.
I didn't know who Robert Carlyle was when I started watching the show. To be honest, the only person I recognized was Emma because I watched House from season 1 to the last very season. So
I
knew
knew
she was, but
I knew who Jennifer Goodwin is because she was in He's Just Not That Into You movie. That was.
I don't think I knew anyone.
There were some I knew from bits and pieces.
You knew
movies,
Belle.
but
I knew Belle. You're right. I knew Belle.
no,
Oh,
there was a lot of characters, a lot of character actors that were in little bit pieces of movies or TV shows, but never really big, and they threw them in here, and you're like, I know them from somewhere.
Yeah.
Where do I know them? I know them. What? And then you're like looking on the internet.
So-
That guy from that thing.
That guy from that thing.
All the Lost characters that we've had on the show so far, we had Belle come in from season 1. Season 2 was Hurley playing the giant, right? Did we have another character in season 2, or was it just Hurley? I think it was just Hurley.
I think it was just Hurley.
And then season 3, was last season. That was the evil witch, and
This season
and
was
Ice Queen.
and this season was the Snow Queen.
Nope.
And then in Wonderland we had Jafar. So every single season they've introduced one new lost character to the show. One new lost actor, I should say, to the show.
Far back.
So
What if, I know the female version of the Jabberwocky she was a female. What if, like, when she turned into a dragon, she becomes male?
Yeah.
that'd be interesting. So, or
She's pangender. Wait, no. What's the
well,
term?
for all we know, we don't know
We
if
don't know.
dragons actually have a gender or not either. So, there could
They
be
just they're just whatever gender you need them to be at the time.
Yeah. They're like
Like the frogs.
frog DNA.
Yep.
Life finds a way.
Yep.
You guys have anything else for this episode?
This fucking great finale.
This was a really good finale. I enjoyed this finale more than I did last season.
Henry really knows how to use the hilt of a sword, but not the rest of it.
I was gonna say he doesn't know how to use the other end of it.
No, yeah.
I thought it was a
Just
really
the sticky
good
end,
Yeah, I thought it was a really good
Pointy
idea to have Lily
Stick with the
guard
pointy end.
Emma.
with the pointy end.
I thought it was a really neat little twist they had Lily guarding Emma at the tower.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was great.
I love it. Can we get as far away from there as possible? Because that's not some normal guard.
Even locking her in the cell did not matter.
No.
No, she's when she go dragon form, those are crumbly rocks. She's gonna just burst them everywhere.
I didn't even think about that when they were the guard.
Yeah.
No clue.
I mean, I guess the last question I have for you guys before we end this is, what do you expect out of Dark Emma?
Only the best.
I think there's going to be very big tug of war in her.
You know what? I'm gonna be so pissed off because if this happens, I'm done watching TV.
What do you mean,
For
if this
everything.
happened? It already happened.
Guess
What
what?
are you talking about?
She's going to start liking Emma.
Demon, and then they killed him. Killed the demon.
Whoa.
She's gonna start liking
spoilers
Emma.
from other shows.
Dean Winchester is dead, everybody. That's the end
Killed
of
the demon
Supernatural.
in him.
We can all go home now.
They'll go.
Stop
She's gonna
spoilers
start
from other
liking Emma.
shows.
I have to do this parallel because if they ace her darkness right away, like they did in Supernatural, I'm sorry. That's just
I
horrible.
don't think so. I mean, the thing
I know.
about the darkness, the thing about the dark one is you can't get rid of him or it or her or whatever. You can't get rid of it. Like
That's
we've
what we
shown
found
that.
with Rumple.
I don't think they're gonna find Merlin for a long time because wherever he is, nobody knows.
At the very least, it's not going to be until the mid-season.
Probably not.
I just have that fear because we speculated the best of things with
No, she's
Supernatural.
gonna have an internal struggle.
I'm never liking Emma.
Oh, you're gonna like her. And when she goes bad, you're gonna like her. No, I think she's gonna have a huge internal struggle, and Lily's gonna help her with it because Lily has been dealing with this for her whole entire life.
It's a different kind of darkness.
Nikki, the more you hate Emma, the more I love her. I don't know why.
Awesome.
The more you say I hate Emma, I'm like, I just love her all.
No,
around.
I just see Lily helping her, trying to help her. I know it's a different kind of evil, but she's been dealing with this kind of stuff basically her whole life.
Yeah.
She was mostly misguided too. So I mean,
Yeah, but I think she's going to be there. They're going to reconnect, and she's going to help her find her father.
But who's the best person to understand the darkness than the person who lived with it for centuries?
Yeah.
I don't know if he'll be up to it. I don't know. Well, we'll have to see what
else
happens.
has he got to do?
No, he's in a magical stasis. Remember,
He
they didn't
know
know
he
he
gets
would
better.
wake up.
We don't know
He
what's
might
going to
not
happen.
wake up.
And if he does, maybe he doesn't want to talk about it right at the beginning.
Yeah.
Maybe he's like,
I'm
it's
sure
over,
the
I'm
first
done.
thing he
I don't
does
wanna-
after coming out of a magical induced coma is not, "Oh, Emma, let me teach you the ways of controlling the Dark One." It's
It's
gonna
not
be,
like he's
"Hey,
gonna
Belle,
fuck. She's
let's
probably
get
gonna
our thing on." You know,
Let's make that baby.
he's got a lot to make up to Belle. He's got a lot to
Like
make
that
up.
baby.
He's got a lot to make up to the rest of the town. You know,
He
it's
does, but
Yeah.
I know Belle. She's just gonna forgive him. She's just gonna be like,
She's
oh,
already forgiven him. You know, and she's like, I don't love Will, I love you. And he's like the most evil he's ever been. So, yeah, she's already forgiven him.
The best accent I've ever heard.
Thanks.
It was, I heard it a
That
little.
was horrible.
A little bit. You did it. You got it.
He did a little bit. It's never gonna happen again.
So that's our show. Nikki, where can the people find...
I liked the accent. I wasn't actually making fun of it.
Where can the people find you, Nikki?
They can find me on Twitter at LadyVenom24. LadyVenom24.
Rachel, where can the people find you?
You can find me at Twitter at Savannah17.
You got the color right.
Got the color right. Oh! You said you'll never get that right.
Clio, where can the people find you?
You can find me on the socials at Cliomoto, and you can find me on Twitch at the Cliomoto.
Excellent. You can find me down below at Phenomadom. PHENOMEDOM.
Phenomenon. Where's my chorus?
You can also find us on.
Sorry.
I was reading.
You can also find us on Facebook, Gmail, G+, Twitter, MySpace, and right here on YouTube at /ASOTV podcast for some more podcasts for some of your favorite TV shows. Till next season.
I know.
Next season.
Next season. A lot of our shows are ending, so until next season.
See you guys later.
Bye.
I don't want to wait till next season.
What happens in dragon form stays in dragon form.
The power
Especially
of
if
the
Deadpool was
music
writing it.
of the night.
Yes. And Deadpool's her father.